Halloween and all the rest of the holidays that are following behind it. And I would just want to remind everyone that as we go through this holiday season, if you are out getting festive and that involves any kind of alcohol or drugs or anything like that, please, please be careful. Don't ever get behind the wheel when you're under the influence of anything, and that includes marijuana. Have somebody else drive for you. It's easy enough to call an Uber or Lyft or whomever and get yourself a ride. And so I just want to remind everyone as we gear up for this holiday season to do that. And again, I want to go ahead and wish everybody a happy Monday, welcome you to this beautiful week that's going to be sitting in front of us, and all the opportunities that we have to help one another, to interact with each other, and to remember that the most important person is the one sitting right in front of you. And also to remind you that if you or someone you love is struggling with any kind of issues that involve alcohol or drugs or mental health issues, please give us a call at 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444. Over at The Way Out, we would love to help you. We have made a commitment to the city of Santa Clarita that anybody that gives us a call, we will absolutely do our best to help you. Even if you're not directly receiving services from us, we will point you in the right direction, sit down, make phone calls with you, get online with you, whatever it takes if you or someone you love is struggling. If you do end up with us, the services that we provide are called intensive outpatient services. So we have primarily group counseling, although we do have crisis individual counseling, individual assessments and treatment planning. A big part, we serve a population of teenagers that are struggling with substance abuse and mental health. We serve a population of adults who may be struggling with substance use and mental health. And we also work with their families. And so a big part of our treatment is also family counseling. And but it all surrounds substance abuse as a primary, and then of course mental health issues. We do have a psychiatrist that we work with, and we have a marriage family therapist as our clinical director, and some really outstanding drug and alcohol counselors that are over there at The Way Out. We are located on the corner of Plum and Bouquet Canyon at 28118 Bouquet Canyon. If you're over in that direction, it's on the same corner as what's over there. Let's see, Vincenzo's, La Casina, 7-Eleven. We're on the same side as the 7-Eleven, all the way down at the other end. Please drop by and pay us a visit. We'd love to sit down, have a cup of coffee with you, see what's going on in your life. If we can help in any way, we'd be happy to help. Or if you're doing well and want to stop by and tell us about that, we are always grateful to hear those success stories. It helps us stay and remain grateful. So, if you're in that area, please drop by. If you are listening to us live right now, you are on either AM 1220 or FM 98.1, or you may be watching us live on Facebook at KHTS Radio Facebook page, or the Way Out Recovery SCV's Facebook page. And remember that you can please download the free KHTS app. So that you can get news, radio, weather, and all the current information and great music and awesome shows like this anytime on your phone or smart device or tablet or whatever. So download the KHTS app. And again, welcome to the show. Today's show is... I hope that it's really wonderful for everybody out there, but I know that it's going to be wonderful for me. In a lot of my using, which I've been in Santa Clarita Valley since 1976, which was, 2 years later, at 10 years old, I started smoking pot, and my drug use led me to some, it took everything away, or it never allowed me to really tap into anything. I'm one of those people, when I started using drugs and then drinking later on, that it became my whole world, and it really took over everything that I did. And as a result of that, I've paid a price for that. And part of the price was some jail time, but when I wasn't in jail and I'm out here in Santa Clarita, a lot of that time was homelessness. And so I know what it's like to be in Santa Clarita in a just an amazing city and not be able to tap into the amazing things that are available to me, and to be homeless in this city. So when we did an event recently at College of the Canyons in conjunction with the Child and Family Center, amazing organization, and the Health and Wellness Center over there at College of the Canyons, we did an event recently called We Are Those People, in an attempt to erase the stigma that is surrounding mental health and substance abuse and all of the other issues. You know, it's funny. Some of the heaviest issues that we have are the ones we don't want to talk about. And I don't want to say especially here in Santa Clarita, but it seems that there has been a lot of resistance over the years to really admit that we're just like every other city in the United States as far as drug use goes, and as far as mental health issues and some of the problems that we have. We have come a long way, and Santa Clarita has some of the most amazing resources and incredible organizations and people out here helping with those issues, but we still have a long way to go, right? And so when we were doing that event, trying to erasing the stigma, because I know that at that event we changed the attitude and outlook and approach of some people sitting in the room when it comes to talking about the issues that are difficult to talk about. When I was at that event, I was approached by a young lady who's sitting in the studio with me today named Mia. Hi, Mia.
Hello, everyone.
And what Mia said to me was, we have an organization called Bags of Love, and we go out and we help the homeless, and we want to talk to your organization about maybe doing something together. What happened in that was that Mia and I kept communication, and here we are a month later, and we are sitting down and doing some really big planning on what we can do to help one person at a time who's sitting out there homeless, who might need a leg up and be able to tap into some of the resources, get some stuff in their hand that can help them right now, but also, more importantly, connect them with the resources that are in our community. And so I'm really excited about today's show. Thank you for being here today, Mia.
You're welcome.
When we come back after this break, we're going to find out about your organization. And I want to talk about a meeting that you and I just came from with a bunch of other organizations that are in our community trying to combat and help the homeless problem out here. So I'm Bob Sharits. This is the Way Out Recovery Hour. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Your building sign is essential to getting customers to your location. Feathers can help you get your business noticed. Feathers, now in a new, larger space with plenty of parking. They walk you through each phase of your project with special attention to detail and quality. Feathers will provide you with a sign that you can be proud of. Your sign will draw customers in instead of having them drive by. Visit Feathers online at feathersigns.com or go to Feathers' brand new, bigger location at 26017 Huntington Drive off Rye Canyon, or call 298-9442.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call the Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Halloween fun is coming to Valencia Marketplace.
Join KHTS on Saturday, October the 26th, starting at 2 p.m. for Halloween fun. Check out your favorite stores, climb on our antique fire truck, and experience balloon magic by Magic Castle magician Dennis Farrell. Kids aged 12 and under can make a free Halloween craft. Sponsored by the Montessori School of Stevenson Ranch. Participate in our Halloween costume parade at 4 p.m. Music, prizes, crafts, magic, and lots of fun. Visit valenciamarketplace.com.
Your hometown station.
I got no excuses.
Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sharits. If you are just joining us, I want to remind you that you are listening to us on either AM 1220 or FM 98.1. But do yourself a favor and download the KHTS app. It is free on your smart device or tablet or whatever, and then you can have live streaming and you can listen to all the latest on your smart device. You can also go to the KHTS radio Facebook page or the Way Out Recovery SCV Facebook page, and you can always catch this show on Mondays at noon. If you are just joining us, I have in studio with me today Mia from Bags of Love. Hi, Mia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Bob, for having me today.
Yeah, of course. So you and I just came. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys do? You started in the Antelope Valley, and now you've moved down to the Santa Clarita Valley, and so you are getting Bags of Love really into the Santa Clarita Valley. Tell us what your organization does.
So Bags of Love originally started 3 years ago, and it started out as a family project, giving out bags to the homeless, provide them with toiletry, non-perishable foods, just trying to go out there and feed the homeless community with my nieces and nephews on Christmas Day. I'm new here to the Santa Clarita Valley, and I wanted to contribute to this city that I'm now residents of. And so I met you about a month ago at one of our community events here locally. And my goal was to try to get resources to be able to put pamphlets in my bags here and to leave a bigger impact than what I was normally doing in the past years, and that's providing resources for them to be able to get help with their drug addiction. I know PTSD is one of the things. Mental illness is huge. One of the big reasons why homeless people are out in the city. And I just want to be able to contribute to this community that I now live in and just bring Bags of Love down here and be able to make a difference here. And everyone deserves to really just get help and to be able to contribute to our society.
Well, and I love the idea of, so first and foremost, basic needs, right? And so let me ask you, do you have a contact that we're going to put it out a couple of times in case, so when people want to donate items, who can they contact?
Well, they can contact me directly. My cell phone number is 818-532-8051, or you can find us on Instagram and Facebook under Bags of Love AVSCV.
Okay, great. So Bags of Love AVSCV, and you can send a message on there, or you can contact Mia directly. What are some of the items? So over at the Way Out, we have put out a box and have decorated it, and now are collecting donations. And some of the things that we are asking for are non-perishable but not canned goods.
Correct.
Right? Non-perishable items of food would include things like top ramen or
cup of noodle soups,
right,
water, juice boxes, chips, cookies, candy.
Okay. And then also when we're talking about toiletries and cosmetics, we really want to collect the travel size, right?
Right.
More
correct.
than anything.
Correct. Yeah. Travel size, toothpaste, toothbrushes, combs, wipies, We're also what we've also found is that there are homeless dogs out there as well. So we are in need of dog food as well. So we can pass out some dog food, feminine hygiene, Q-tips.
Yeah. And so, and remember, if you're going to donate dog food, please dry dog food. Because the only
Yes.
reason I steer away from it, and I've mentioned this in several of the meetings, is because, it's when you're living out of a backpack, it's a pain in the butt to carry stuff around. And so, although canned goods are wonderful, like canned food is wonderful, it's a lot of weight to carry around. And so we're trying to actually minimize, get the best need I can with the smallest item, right? And so dry dog food, if we're talking about dog food, not canned dog food.
Correct.
Because it's really difficult to transport and to move that stuff around and to carry it with you if you're living out of a backpack. I'm amazed and I'm grateful and I'm really excited that you're out there in the community providing those basic needs. But when you started talking about resources as well to put in the bags to give to people, that is sort of it's taking it to the next level. Because now what you're doing is you're providing some stairs for people to have the possibility of getting out of this homelessness situation, right?
Yes.
So you have an immediate goal of connecting with resources in the community that provide anything regarding the homeless population, correct?
Correct. Whether it's a 12-step recovery, mental health,
So we have so it's pretty neat that we just came. I was invited to a subcommittee that I went to this morning, right before this, for the first time, and it's a subcommittee of a bigger committee that works with homeless population in Santa Clarita, right? And so I invited Mia and said, hey, let's go to this thing together because it's what great timing. And we went over there, and some of the resources that are over there are what we are going to put on the list. Now this subcommittee, more than anything, works with a homeless population identified within the school districts. So, our focus is a little wider than that. We're not just focusing on school district, but nevertheless, those resources that are in that subcommittee, some of them are going to be homeless resources for any population, right? But I'm always, were you surprised to hear the number of homeless families that are in the school districts?
Yes, I was actually very surprised how many people are families that are homeless, and it's a huge number.
The only reason I ask it is because I sort of want to point out to our listeners, when I think of homeless, I think of what I was doing back then, right? Which was really doing drugs and then crashing wherever I could. So sometimes I might have somebody else who did drugs that I would go and get high with them and end up staying at their house. It might look like that sometimes. But sometimes it looked like just being under the influence and ending up wherever. And so there's like campgrounds around here, and there's places in the wash to crash and things like that. But even in that experience with homelessness, I never considered that there's a whole other population of sort of just regular folks. Like they're not necessarily out there getting high. They can't afford to live in what it costs to live out here or in a lot of places. And so the identification of homeless within the schools are things like this: multiple families living in 2-family houses, right? So you have a 2-room apartment with 5 families living in it. Think about that. If you have 5 families with a couple of kids each, you got 10, 12, 15 people living in dwellings that are made for less than that, right? And so those get overlooked. That population gets overlooked as being homeless because you don't see them out there, right? You don't see them.
Right.
And so, but the school district out here doesn't overlook that population.
Yeah, which I thought was amazing. I mean, thank you so much for inviting me, because it kind of just widened my spectrum too, that where we can collaborate with those communities as well, and the school districts. I mean, I never really thought of making an impact there, but yeah, I was quite surprised to hear about how many people are actually living that way.
And part of the task of that committee is to actually figure out a number,
Yeah.
right? But I saw a couple of years ago, identified as in school districts out here something like 1,500 kids. 1,500 kids. So that's 1,500 families, roughly. Now, some of those families are going to have multiple kids in the school district, right? So a little less than 1,500 families. But you think about that, just that number right there. You got 1,500 families sitting out there right now who are living under conditions where, they don't have their own private space. They don't just get to go spend time relaxing in a bath. They don't just get to come in and chill and put their feet up and watch whatever they want on the TV, like so many of us get to do, that we take that stuff for granted and we don't even think about it, right? That are their families where they're struggling gaining employment, where they're struggling gaining sometimes basic needs, a refrigerator maybe that is being shared by all of these families, and where do you put the food and where do you get the food? And so I was sort of amazed, but really grateful to find out that in our school districts, we have resources that, I don't think of school as that. I think of school district as learning, right? I don't think of school as being social work. But there's social workers whose primary job is just to have contact with those families and just to make sure that those families are clothed and are fed and their kids are getting to school, because education is huge, right? And if I can't even meet my basic needs of feeding my kids, I'm certainly not, them getting to school is secondary for me.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So I'm really grateful that I attended that event, because like I said earlier, it just really left an impact on my heart, and to be able to reach out to more people.
So the school district has some programs in place that are designed to interact with families that are struggling. Certainly it started at Golden Valley, but there's also a lot of parent resource programs that are in many of the schools, but the PAWS program over there at Golden Valley provides resources for families in need that are in that high school, and then they've reached out. Another program that was at that meeting was a program called the DEFY program, Drug-Free Youth in SCV. Their primary focus, their on-school, peer-led program that is designed to help kids stay off of drugs, or to be part of a group that is all about staying clean and sober. But in their interaction with those students, they also come across a lot of families that are struggling with substance abuse, and those families are also ones that are in need of those services. There were a couple of school districts at that meeting as well, trying to collaborate so that all the school districts are on the same page, trying to get out questionnaires to families to see if they need the resources that are at those meetings as well. And then there were social workers at that meeting as well, and the social workers have the direct interaction with those families. But then there were other organizations too, right? So the Action Foundation was there, trying to provide drug and alcohol resources. The Way Out was there, trying to provide drug and alcohol resources. One of the little gems that's in our community, well, I won't say little, they're a huge organization, but I don't think a lot of people know about Child and Family Center. Child and Family Center is an amazing organization that accepts Medi-Cal and unfunded, and helps with counseling and mental health issues and substance abuse and all other basic needs as well. And they were sitting at the table as well. And a Light of Hope was there, free community support for youth in need, right? and then the Santa Clarita grocery guy named Bradley. I'm missing the title of his organization, but they give out free groceries in Santa Clarita on a regular basis. You know, there are organizations like this. The food pantry is out here as well. Bridge to Home is out here as well, and so there's a lot of really awesome organizations, and the school districts are trying to bring all those together so that we can all work together, and because we're seeing the same people over and over again, and they need to know about these organizations. So what you are going to do is put a list together. We're going to have all those organizations on a list, easy to access, to put in the bags to hand to the people who really need it.
That's going to be wonderful. Thank you so much. One of the things that I also noticed is that, you know, there is a lot of shame with parents not attending. What I noticed is that a lot of parents don't attend these events that you guys sometimes host together because they carry that shame. So it was wonderful to hear how these these people that were part of this committee and wonderful organizations, how they want to bridge that gap as well. And possibly introduce a short film for them during what is it? Back to school is what they had mentioned.
Well, right, yeah,
yeah, and so So the number was really low as far as parents getting involved. So I can't wait to see that to also come to fruition and bridge that gap.
One of the, you know, so let me start this by saying I don't think there's a better community to live in. Santa Clarita is amazing, you know, and this is coming from a guy who for a long time pointed my finger at growing up here as the problem or something like that. Like I always was blaming something else or something, right? But what I have come to find out in my almost 15 years of recovery out here is that we have so many resources available to anybody who's willing to ask for them, that I think we're unlike any other community. So let me start by saying that Santa Clarita is the most amazing place to live. It's a great place to raise your kids. I love that I find this as my home. That being said, we have had a history of, or maybe a tendency to sort of bury our heads in the sand as to drug problems, homeless problems, mental health issues, whatever goes on in Santa Clarita. There's a lot of people who just want to turn a blind eye and say, you know, we want to keep just looking at Awesome Town and we don't want to look at that stuff in Awesome Town, right? And so that contributes to what you were talking about. I can't tell you how many events I've done out here in the last 15 years between being at the Way Out and being with Action, and going out and really doing a great job of advertising those events, of getting the word out to families. And I'm talking about events in school districts. So to the parents, right? I remember planning an event in the Hart School District, and it didn't matter. It doesn't matter what district it was, because what they did is their outreach is amazing. And I think there was something like 25,000 emails that were sent out, and we did our own advertisement on our end. And Stephanie Weiss and I did this event, and we went to Hart High School, and we were expecting, you know, just in that school alone, there's something like, at the time, like 2,000 students or something, right? So we certainly invited every parent there. And Stephanie and I got to that event, and there were 5 parents there. Well, let me repeat that. There were 5 parents there. We sent out 25,000 emails. There were 5 parents that showed up, right? And so we've always had difficulty in engaging the parents into the issues that are going on with the kids, right? And so the big question is, how do we do that? Mm-hmm. How do we get parents to show up? And maybe I'll just scream it from this microphone. Show up to these events, because, you know, once your kid is in junior high school, the problems don't end there. Just because you don't need to watch them every minute because they might hurt themselves, that's when the work really begins as a parent. And we need you guys to show up. And but people just think it's not my problem. Like, oh, not my kid or whatever, and they don't show up, right? And so how do we get those parents to really show up to those events is the question. And so everybody's thinking about that. Everybody's getting the word out, right? And so we want to make an inviting place for those parents to show up so that we can get the resources in the bags and get them to these guys, you know? And it's tough to do. You said shame, you know?
Shame, yeah. There's a lot of shame, and I really believe that part of it could be that they are not ready to get help, and so they want to hide. They maybe even possibly think that their children might be taken away. But there are, I know you mentioned earlier, there was one person that did show, the 1 out of 5 that did show up actually got help.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just ready to see what kind of impact we could leave behind and leave in this community. When is this? The event's going to be, I believe, in.
Well, in March there's a big event. Yeah, in
Yeah.
March there's a big community event providing free resources to a lot of underserved population, which is neat. We're planning on that. So that's going to be really cool to have all the community resources come together. And so as we take a break, I'm glad you mentioned that because, you know, things happen the way they're supposed to happen. And I want to give a big shout out to Stephanie Weiss, who I used to work with, who now is, I want to say retired, but I know Stephanie better than that. She's probably never, ever going to really retire. So she's out there doing her thing, working with people who need help as well in her business strategies for success, right? So Stephanie Weiss and I want to give her credit for this. At that meeting where 5 parents showed up, she took the time to introduce herself and speak with a gentleman who was there, and then called me over, and we had a talk with this gentleman, and he started asking me a lot of really personal questions about what he could do if his friend needed help, because this was what was going on with his friend. And at the end of the meeting, we left there, and wasn't even 2 weeks later, I got a call from that guy, and he said, I was actually talking about me, and I need some help. And he went into rehab and then came to my outpatient program. And then, he's been sober ever since. But he came there to talk about his kid at first, because it was, we were putting out there, teenage problems, what kind of drug issues the teens have. And this parent showed up because he had a teenage son, and it ended up being all about him. And he got clean and sober. And so you never know how that great power that's out there is going to work. So after the break, we'll come back. I want to know how you got into this, or like, how did you and your family start this and the why of it? So I want to hear your story when we come back. I'm Bob Sharits. This is the Way Out Recovery Hour. We'll be back in a minute.
Pumpkins are back in Santa Clarita, a short ride up Bouquet Canyon. It's Gilchrist Farms Harvest Festival and Pumpkin Patch, with pumpkins and more pumpkins. Open from 9 till 6 daily in October, the festival is full of pony rides, farm animals, live entertainment, farm crafts, archery, and pig races. Book your professional photo session in the Pumpkin Patch. Learn how to milk a goat, gather eggs, and pick your perfect Halloween pumpkin. Nostalgia return to Santa Clarita at Gilchrist Farm. That's GilchristFarm.com.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association is celebrating our 30th anniversary at the Hyatt Regency Friday, November 1st. This year, there's a free art show from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. filled with multiple art demonstrations, musical entertainment, a fine art exhibition, silent auction, jewelry booths, and more in the Grand Ballroom. The ticketed gala begins at 5 with entertainment by Lance Allen, a live auction led by Councilman Bob Keller, followed by our Art Awards ceremony. Purchase tickets for only $25 at santaclaritaartist.org.
Your hometown station.
As soon as I leave my house in Saugus, I always turn on KHTS for the latest traffic updates.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
I got no excuses.
Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sharits, and I have in studio with me today Mia from Bags of Love. Please find her at the Facebook page, Bags of Love AVSCV, or you can give her a call at
818-532-8051.
And the reason I want you guys to go there is because Mia is taking donations of non-perishable items of food, such as cup of noodles, cookies, chips, things like that, and also travel size cosmetic items and feminine hygiene products, and also dry dog food, because we found that in the homeless population there is a fair amount of homeless dogs as well that also need food too. So Bags of Love is an organization that puts bags together and goes out and directly hands them to people who need them, who are struggling with housing and things like that, and basic needs. So thank you guys for what you do.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me here today.
So me and I are on the sort of the front end of collaborating with putting together resources to put in those bags, as well as the items. And we're going to go out together with our clients and as a team, and really give back to the community and try to help people that may need that help. But you didn't just wake up one day and say, this is what I'm going to do, right? There's a story behind this.
Yes, there's a beautiful story behind this. In November 21st of 2001, I had a 9-year-old daughter that died in a car accident, an unfortunate car accident. And after 2 years, I would say after 2 years after she'd passed away, I started numbing myself with crystal meth. And I used for about 2.5 years. And I decided that I was just done with that lifestyle. I was transitioning I had to move out of my place, and I was homeless for 3 days. And then I just decided to voluntarily go to this program called Celebrate Recovery at the Highlands Church in Palmdale. And so I did that program, and I've been sober since 2007. And I just got involved with a lot of nonprofit organizations and decided to give back to the Antelope Valley, and that's where I'm originally from. And I started doing volunteer work with just different local organizations. And how Bags of Love came is we found that my friend and I, he has the same passion for the homeless people. And so he came up with a name, and it's called Bags of Love. So we started as a family project. So for the last 3 years, I've had my nieces and nephews involved, where we go out and we give out bags on Christmas Day out of the Antelope Valley by the washes and places where we know that the homeless populations camp out. One of the things that the reason why I do this is because I know that there's a lot of people that do come across some type of tragedy in their life. And I can go back as far as my childhood, but this one was very, very impactful, where I experienced I was drug abuse as well as PTSD. And I know that there's a lot of homeless people out there that do struggle with mental illness and PTSD. And this is why it's just so endear to my heart. And because I know how difficult it could be when you either struggle from an addiction, child abuse, a loss of a family member. In my case, it was my only child. And so I just want to live my life just being able to contribute to those people that are out there that are hurting, that might need a little bit of help, and just bridge the gap and just let them know that that there's people out there that care about them. One of the beautiful things that I wanted to be able to instill in my nieces and nephews is how fortunate they are, and to teach them to be giving and just to contribute to society as well.
Yeah. So a couple of things is, I think when we're driving down the street and we see people walking around or panhandling in front of stores or whatever that are obviously homeless, that I think a lot of times we drive down the street and we just see that and we don't think too much about it. But not just them, but every single person, but especially that population right there, every one of them has a story.
Yes.
Every one of them is carrying around a hurt, some kind of pain, something. There's a reason that they're standing there asking you for money, right? And it's easy for us to say, oh, go get a job or something like that, and to sort of tuck it away. And maybe that's because we don't want to feel the pain. We don't want to feel that emotion. But when we take the time to sit down and connect with somebody, if you to walk up and not just maybe hand somebody $5, but to say, hey, what's your name? It's good to meet you. Shake the hand, and spend a minute there. And, and just say, is there anything else I can do for you? And that kind of love and compassion just means the world, right? And it also, it does a lot for the giver's heart as well. It does a lot for the giver's heart. And I think that's what you're trying to really show your nieces, your right, and nephews, nieces and nephews,
yes.
Your nieces and nephews, and but I want to backtrack on your story just a little bit. First of all, I want to say thank you for your bravery. I have a 10-year-old son and a 7-year-old son, and I cannot imagine, being able to get out of bed after a loss like that.
Thank you.
And you said you picked up drugs immediately afterwards, or you sat in that pain for a long time?
I sat in that pain for a while. I was the one that was carrying on my family and being there for others, and I totally neglected myself, not seeking help for myself.
So you went, okay, we're gonna and to make sure everybody else was okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then at some point, you let yourself you drop that. And let yourself feel?
Yes, yeah. I did. Yes. And I started using meth, and I did that for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a lot of people don't understand too, is that, certainly people do drugs because they want to party and feel good and whatever, right? Like there's a whole world of that right there. But much of drug use is not that. Much of drug use is nothing will get you out of your feelings faster than taking one of those drugs, And if I am hurting the way that you're describing hurting, and I cannot feel like that anymore, and then I put something in my system that takes that away for a minute, that right there is, that's where addiction is born. And my brain will say that, keep doing that right there, because it beats feeling that pain. And we can become addicted very, very quickly. And if you don't understand, or you've never experienced that, it's easy to stand on the outside of that going, oh, you drug addict, and to be judgmental of that without experiencing that. What's beautiful about having that experience, right? And when I said there's a story behind it, you said it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like to say, thank you so much for just believing in my project and believing that we, in me, especially,
So what I wanted to say about that was, even though that experience right there, and I'm not talking about the loss of your daughter. I know that if you would do anything in the world to bring her back. And so there's nothing that's ever going to make that part of a wonderful experience. Doing those drugs and getting hooked into that addiction, even though that can be the most tragic times of our lives. And I look back on those experiences and go, oh my God, like how was I ever living like that? Coming out of that, and for you with Celebrate Recovery, and I love Celebrate Recovery. My friend Christopher Freeman is the Celebrate Recovery pastor at the local church over here at Real Life. And so he runs the local one, and just an amazing human being. And I really believe in that program. I see so much come out of it, right? And to sit here with somebody else whose life has been changed by Celebrate Recovery is amazing. You come out of that experience with a perspective on life and on other human beings that I think a lot of people don't have. And so you take that and now you step into a homeless population. Mm-hmm. What does that bring to that interaction right there with the homeless population?
What that brings is just, it's given me a purpose to be here and to be able to contribute to that population. And when I said it's a beautiful story, because it's just, something so tragic, out of something so tragic could come out something so beautiful. Right. And so, I could see this project just growing. We don't just have Bags of Love in Antelope Valley, Santa Clarita, but we also have a Bags of Love in LA and Bags of Love in Fresno. So what I see for this Bags of Love, for this project, is to have a Bags of Love in every city. And Bags of Love, I feel like Bags of Love is a way that we can bridge, not only just on Thanksgiving or on Christmas, but throughout the year, just to bridge a gap and provide not only just goodies and food, non-perishable foods, as well as hygiene products, but also resources.
Yeah, for sure. And, there are, so some of the organizations that are out here that are helping the homeless are things like Bridge to Home. So Bridge to Home is a local shelter that's out here. You have the food pantry that's out here. They help. There's a lot of organizations that are fair-sized organizations that can help a lot of people at once. And we want those resources in those bags. But I think, and maybe I'm just skewed because this is how I work, is I think that the person who interacts one person at a time and changes their lives maybe makes the biggest impact,
Yes, one of the things that we love to do, and when my nieces and nephews, when we go out there, is I see the way that the homeless people just smile when they see little beings, a little bit of they're just little angels, my nieces and nephews, and they're all still in elementary, so their world seems just to light up. And I do take the time out to hear their story, because everyone has a story, and just to be able to connect with them, even if it's just for 5 to 10 minutes at a time. It's just been very impactful to my life, and it's kept me very, very humble, and just very life-changing for me to be able to do that for them and go out there.
And so you've been now a resident of Santa Clarita for a couple of years?
For 2 years, yeah, going on 2 years.
Great. Well, it's going to be, I know that you've been here long enough to know some of the stuff that goes on here and to see the homeless population, but I think it's going to be so wonderful for you to become such an integral part of the other helping organizations that are out here as well. And so I really look forward to sort of tag teaming with you and meeting a lot of those people, which is really neat, bringing kids out. What do you think that's doing for your nieces and nephew?
Definitely, they appreciate what they have. They love just running out of the van, is grabbing the bags and getting out there, and they're excited to be able to contribute and help, and just the excitement that is in the atmosphere the day of, the events that we do. It's just definitely, I've seen that they really enjoy it. They really do.
What how are your conversations with them when they ask? Because I just kind of want to bounce that off you, because I have really open, honest, and direct conversations with my boys when it comes to unpopular topics, I suppose. So like drugs or sex or things that people have difficulty talking about, right? Like I have these really direct conversations with my kids. Do you find yourself having those kind of conversations with those young children?
Yes, absolutely.
Because they're asking, right? Like, who are these people?
Yeah, who are these people, and how did they end up here? And and that's one of the reasons why I do ask questions and I have conversations with the homeless people, because I want them to hear it from from the actual person that is living out there in the streets. So yeah, I definitely, on the way to go distribute these bags, they always ask me, well, where are we going to go this time, and what streets are we going to go? And last time there was more people over here, and there was more dogs on this side of the street. So they're getting familiar with the town as well, and familiarizing themselves with what's going on, and it's one of the things. My little niece, she's gonna have a birthday next Friday, and she, it's so cute because she wanted to donate some of her scarves, and so they're giving up some of their items too, to contribute, and I had one of my nephews actually take some of my dog's food and and start putting it in bags and stuff, so they're willing to give up some of their items too, to contribute to the homeless population. And it's just really nice to see that they're very involved. What I love, and if you go on my Facebook page, you'll see a couple of videos of them on there, and making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on Christmas Eve. Last year we made about 250 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We put 2 in per bag, and they had peanut butter and jelly all over the floor and everything, but it was nice to see them getting in there and getting a little messy and contributing and putting the items in all the different bags, because we had an assembly line in my living room last year.
Yeah. I think it's really neat that that's the same that it's funny, my older son gets a little bit embarrassed when I do this because he's not real outgoing. My younger one's like, yeah, whatever. But when they ask me those kind of questions, like, hey, you see that guy over there, why do you think he's homeless? I said, I don't know, let's go have a conversation with him. My one son he gets like, whoa, like, wait a minute. I go, let's ask him directly, because I don't think there's any better tool for both sides is when I get to sit down and say, we're just a couple of people having a conversation here, and I'm interested in your story. That it humanizes everybody, right? But it also allows my kids to know that there's no shit. Like, you don't have to be afraid to ask those questions. You don't have to be afraid to talk about things that may be uncomfortable to talk about. And I think that's the best approach with kids. I don't think that we should shelter them from what's going on in the world. I don't think that we should hide it from them. I don't think we should tell them lies or make up stories or any of that stuff that surrounds what's standing right in front of us, and sometimes those conversations get pretty heavy and pretty deep with those youngsters, with those kids, why is that guy homeless? Well, look, sometimes he has a bottle in his hand. Maybe it's because of that drinking right there. Maybe it's because of the drug use. Maybe it's because of other stuff. And we open up those conversations, and those are real teachable moments for our youngsters.
Absolutely. Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's one of the things that I love being a fun aunt now. I embrace my new role, and being able to impact them as well, and that's what I want my legacy to be.
Well, and the power of giving too.
Power of giving, yeah.
We pass that on to our kids. The power of giving is there's nothing better than that, to give of ourselves, and anything that we can to help another human being who's standing right in front of us. Speaking of, you're a superhero to me. Because you're all about giving, and I love that you approached me at that community event a month ago. I love this relationship that our organizations is forming, and I love being able to be of help to your organization in any way that we possibly can, and to encourage others to do that. That Mia is out here with bags of love, donating and giving of her life to people that are in need, and we want to support that in any way that we can. So thank you so much for what you do.
You're welcome. Thank you as well, Bob. Thank you. Just hearing your story too. You were sharing your story with me earlier, and the things that you're doing in this community too. Thank you so much for all that you do as well. You're a superhero in my eyes too.
Thanks, Mia. I'm Bob Sharits. This is the Way Out Recovery Hour, and we'll see everyone next week.